two people connected in the death of a 7-year-old boy won't face a judge until next week.
7-year-old Kayden Gavarrete was found bruised, burned, and unresponsive by IMPD inside this home Sunday afternoon. His dad and his dad's girlfriend arrested in connection to his death.
In December 2024, a heartbreaking case in Indianapolis exposed serious flaws in the child protection system. 7-year-old Kayden Gavarrete, a bright, kind-hearted boy who loved superheroes and video games, became the center of a story that would change the way Indiana views child welfare. Kayden was born on October 25, 2017, to Tamara Tammy Mason and Kevin Gavarrete. From the beginning, those who knew him described him as a warm, empathetic child whose smile could light up any room. He was deeply loved by his family, especially his mother's side, who remained closely involved in his life. Before we begin, I want to thank you all for your continued support of this channel. It's incredible to see this community of caring individuals grow every day. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from. This case involves sensitive topics related to child welfare and family dynamics, some of which may be difficult to hear. My goal is to raise awareness and promote change to protect vulnerable children. Kayden's life took a devastating turn in May 2022 when his mother, Tammy, passed away unexpectedly. Following her death, custody of Kayden was granted to his father, Kevin, despite serious concerns from Tammy's family, especially her sister, Jessica Ryan, who fought for custody. At the time, Child Protective Services, CPS, had already been involved with the family. Even before Tammy's passing, multiple reports had been made, and CPS had visited the home on several occasions. However, after Kayden was placed in his father's care, he became increasingly isolated from his maternal relatives. Eventually, all contact was lost. Not long after Tammy's death, Kevin began dating Julia Sizemore. Their relationship moved quickly. Julia moved in, and they soon had 2 daughters together. By the time of the events that would later unfold, Julia was pregnant with their 3rd child. Their relationship was turbulent. Julia frequently moved in and out of the home, and family members noticed troubling changes in Kevin's behavior. Even at Tammy's funeral, his actions suggested he had already begun seeing someone new. Social media records later confirmed that Kevin and Julia officially began dating on June 29, 2022, just weeks after Tammy's passing. Julia's attitude toward Tammy's memory created further tension within the family. As the months passed, the home on South Pershing Avenue began to show signs of neglect. Neighbors rarely saw Kevin or Julia, and most had no idea that a young boy even lived there. While the couple was frequently spotted out with their daughters, shopping at places like Kroger and Walmart, Kayden was conspicuously absent. A relative who briefly stayed in the home during 2024 provided disturbing insights into Kayden's living conditions. The boy showed signs of fear and distress around Kevin and Julia. He didn't even have a bed until this family member provided one. The household was in disarray, and the level of neglect was becoming harder to ignore. Neighbors also noted strange interactions with Kevin and Julia. The yard was unkempt, the house looked run down, and tensions inside the home were apparent. During this time, Kayden's grandmother, Ann Talby, also lived in the house. She passed away not long after Tammy, and her death raised additional concerns among relatives. By late 2024, Kayden was supposed to be homeschooled under Julia's care, but no evidence suggested that any education was actually taking place. Then, in December, the situation took a tragic turn. On December 21st, Kayden's condition deteriorated significantly. Witnesses later stated that he was visibly unwell and in need of medical attention, yet no one sought help. Instead, he remained confined to his room, with Kevin brushing off concerns about his health. The next day, December 22, 2024, police received an emergency call from the home at 1300 South Pershing Avenue at 3:42 p.m. When officers arrived, They waited nearly 2 minutes before Kevin finally opened the door. Inside, they discovered a heartbreaking scene. Kayden was found in his bedroom. His small, nearly empty space contained just a futon frame and a small sofa. Medical personnel determined that he had passed away several hours earlier. His body showed clear signs of severe neglect. During questioning, Kevin's explanations were inconsistent and troubling. He claimed he last saw his son between 9 and 10 p.m. the previous night after returning from a 12-hour work shift. He then stated he had stayed up playing video games until 4 or 5 a.m., slept until 2:30 p.m., and only then checked on Kayden. Even then, he inexplicably waited another hour before calling for help. Kevin admitted that Kayden had been sick for about a month, barely eating or drinking. Yet he also claimed that 3 weeks prior, Kayden had begun acting strangely, possibly accessing household items he shouldn't have, though Kevin admitted he never actually witnessed this. When confronted with evidence of Kayden's condition, Kevin deflected blame, suggesting that any injuries were self-inflicted. He even claimed that some marks on the boy's body were from heating vents. Perhaps most disturbingly, when asked about the dog cage found in Kayden's room, Kevin brushed it off, saying it was left over from when they had puppies. He later admitted he had avoided seeking medical help for Kayden because he feared how it would look to CPS. On the same day, police tracked down Julia at an extended stay hotel near the Indianapolis International Airport. Her statements raised further alarms. At first, she claimed she hadn't seen Kayden in over a week, and that he had seemed fine the last time she watched him. Later, she admitted she had been in the house on December 21st. Julia insisted that her concerns about Kayden were behavioral, not physical, and suggested he may have had attention issues. However, she acknowledged that he hadn't seen a doctor in over a year and a half. When presented with the extent of Kayden's condition, Julia claimed she had urged Kevin to seek medical help, but never took action herself, saying she didn't want to interfere with his parenting. A chilling conversation between Julia and a family member revealed that on December 21st, Kayden was emotionally distressed, repeatedly asking to see his late mother. His condition worsened overnight. By 2 p.m. the next day, Julia found him unresponsive. Instead of calling for help immediately, Kevin attempted to handle the situation himself, instructing Julia to leave with their daughters to avoid drawing CPS's attention. It wasn't until an hour later that he finally called 911.
Children don't voluntarily ingest these substances. Even when they're trying to hurt themselves, they would automatically throw that up or get sick. The only reason that a child is going to turn to a different kind of substance to drink other than water or regular food is if those things, those basic human necessities are being withheld from them. And a parent tells you that, well, my child has these medical problems or my child is injuring him or herself, and you say, well, what does the doctor say? Oh, well, I haven't taken my child to the doctor. That should be a massive red flag that something else is going on.
Further investigation uncovered a disturbing history. In March 2021, Hendricks County deputies had responded to an incident involving Kayden at a local Walmart, requiring his aunt to pick him up. In September 2022, Julia was arrested for driving while intoxicated, with Kayden in the back seat. And in June of that same year, Indianapolis police had responded to a domestic dispute at Kevin's home. Details of that incident remain unclear, but it added to the long pattern of instability. Kevin Gavarrete, 26, and Julia Sizemore, 20, now face multiple charges, including neglect resulting in death, criminal confinement, and neglect of a dependent. Each was given a bond of $100,000. At the time of her arrest, Julia was pregnant with her third child. A memorial now stands outside the home where Kayden lived, a painful reminder of a system that failed him. His funeral was held privately on January 2, 2025. His family is now advocating for Kayden's law, legislation aimed at strengthening child protection measures in custody cases. Kayden's story is a devastating example of how a broken system can leave children unprotected. Thank you for listening. If you found this case important, consider subscribing. And don't forget to hit that bell icon so you never miss a case. Together, we can make sure the truth doesn't get buried. Thank you for watching.